Welcome. This is Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present it. Top stories in the news tonight. UPND rubbishes accusations of being a divisive party. Inadequate schools contributing to high teenage pregnancies, laments MUMBWA parents. Consult before abolishing the death penalty, advises political activist Dante Saunders. In international news, SOWETO mass shooting kills 15. And in sports news, SHEPOLOPOLO eye to beat TERANGA Lionesses. Now the news in detail. Parents of teenage school-going girls in Stephen Mwaza village of MUMBWA district in Central Province have called for the construction of schools near village settlements, stating that the long distance to most schools is causing many girls to stay at home, hence being denied the right to education. In an interview, one of the parents, Miss Lydia Daka, feels that the problem of teenage pregnancies and early marriages will not be solved in the district for as long as schools remain far away, regardless of the free education policy. Meanwhile, Camnet News caught up with some school-going girls on their way to school who indicated that they are not performing well at school as they mostly find lessons already ongoing by the time they arrive, stating that the nearest school is more than 1 hour away on foot. More in this report.
Rural areas have continued to lag in many sectors of development, and the story is not different when it comes to schools, as these are located far away from most village settlements, meaning that even little children cover a long distance just to have a chance at education. Residents of Stephen Mwaza village in MUMBWA district of Central Province say this has discouraged many children, including girls, from attending an education despite the free education policy. In an interview, one of the parents in the village, Miss Lydia Daka, says this has made it difficult to put an end to child marriages and teenage pregnancies. She has therefore called on the current administration to ensure that each village has a school nearby as one way of encouraging many girls to attend school.
Especially when we are wakupenga rodi njotuinda mamota gwina rodi ivotu Karikurombano bantu kwamba government yakabora ino kaitugwahiri hago. Bana atokumita chimitemite. Kwina achikolo chobatokwiya bana twagomba bana watukura ma classes. Classes yomo bana 100. Ina bana baraiya hi bantu banji bachisi mari gabo tukutwa bana ma private. Nazo bantu ina mari bana baraiya buti. Twakuromba ati mutugwahiri hego. Aronka nivo ya ibo jigoro.
Meanwhile, some school-going teenage girls spoken to in the village have indicated that the nearest school is about 1 hour away on foot, which means that they're always late for school due to the long distance they have to cover going to various schools. The Ministry of Education had earlier in 2022 indicated that it is currently working on completing 115 education structures that had stalled as one way of solving the long distances to schools in some areas, as well as decongesting classrooms. Stakeholders in the education sector, however, argue that more needs to be done to ensure that all citizens across the country have equal opportunities in accessing education. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, MUMBWA District.
Some youths participating at the Gender is My Agenda campaign network GMAC Young Women Advocacy Training under the African Union say the platform is a great opportunity to discuss issues that affect women and girls on the African continent. Speaking to the media, Sora Majak says solutions addressing critical issues like early child marriages, nutrition and climate change will be talked about. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, GMAC Network Chairperson Helen Moha notes that it has proven to be a challenge engaging women in decision-making positions because of socio-cultural norms. More in the following report.
Africa is a continent with 60% of its population under the age of 35. Currently, there are 420 million youth aged 15 to 35, of which the population is expected to double to 840 million youth by 2040. 10th July 2022 has marked the beginning of the GMAC Young Women Advocacy Training under the African Union that has attracted several African countries, amongst them South Africa, Kenya, South Sudan, to mention but a few. The 3-day training in Lusaka aims at discussing critical issues that affect women and young girls in Africa. Building on the AU 2022 theme, which is building resilience in nutrition on the African continent, accelerate human capital, social and economic development. Some participants interviewed feel the training is a great platform finding solutions to some of the challenges women and young girls face. Women are therefore encouraged to take up leadership positions that contribute to national development. We got some expectations from the participants.
Very willing, but most of the spaces are closed and most spaces are elite. But women are closed out in many ways. First of all, the finances and the languages used and the kind of terminologies that are used in these spaces make women intimidated to be in these spaces. But
we have early child marriages. People are being like young girls from 15. Once you start menstruation, they think that you are now a woman, which is really wrong. They force young girls into marriages. That's one. We also have forced marriage. You can be over 18, but if you are told to marry someone by force, that's not right. It's also happening in my country. We also have issues of youth being undermined.
Speaking at the same event, GMAC Network Chairperson Helen Moha notes that it has proven difficult to engage women in taking up leadership positions.
The challenges we have is the socio-cultural norms and practices that tend to undermine women's capacity to be leaders. So within these countries, we found out that many of them also do not have policies and laws in place, like affirmative action that will ensure women are included in decision making. So we're really encouraging African countries and heads of state to put in place, those policies and laws, and also ensure that those laws are implemented by providing budgets and money for it to be implemented, so that we have more women in decision making.
One of the sponsors also had their view.
Looking forward to make sure that no one is left behind. We also focus deliberately on those, in quotes, socially excluded groups, including people with disabilities, people in hard-to-reach communities, people in those communities, with the humanitarian challenges like conflicts. For example, we have deliberately brought some young women from South Sudan, simply because we are working on a project with them on women's peace and security.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development, UPND, has defended itself against accusations from the Socialist Party that the party in government has failed to unite the country through appointments in key governance positions. Socialist Party President Dr. Fred Membe, in a video shared on his official Facebook page as a close to Zambia's Unity Week, which comes to an end which came to an end on the 9th of July 2022, has accused the current administration of not living up to its promise of uniting the country, stating that this is reflected in political appointments which he alleges are not from all regions across the country. In an interview, UPND Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Imenda says it is unfair for the Socialist Party leader to hand-pick a few appointments while neglecting others such as that of the cabinet, which are balanced. Ms. Imenda says certain regions of the country should not be disadvantaged from appointments in fear of what people will say, stating that they too are Zambians. More in this report.
Appointments into key governance positions by any government have always been used as a measure to assess any government's commitment to uniting the country, as it is said that actions speak louder than words. Previous administrations in Zambia have, however, been accused of not uniting the country, as some appointments have been said to be predominantly from regions in the country regarded as strongholds for the party in government. This has been causing divides in the country, with some regions allegedly claiming more importance than others. The United Party for National Development, UPND, when in opposition, promised to change this narrative and bring back the One Zambia, One Nation slogan to life. The commemoration of Zambia's Unity Week, which came to an end on 9th July 2022, has given stakeholders on the political scene a chance to analyze whether appointments under the current administration are reflective of its promise when in opposition. Among them is Socialist Party President Dr. Fred Membe, who has given his view in a video shared on his official Facebook page.
Roads that divided this country initially into two, northeastern and northwestern Rhodesia. He only united them in 1911 to form Northern Rhodesia. The executive leader is from northwestern Rhodesia. The adjudicator from northwestern Rhodesia. The legislature from northwestern Rhodesia. All the key ministries are from this same part of the country. Ministry of Finance, the Governor Bank of Zambia, Minister of Defense, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Local Government, Minister of Justice, Minister of Information, Minister of Health, Education, all from one region. The chiefs of our security and defense wings are all from this same region. The chief of the Army, the Air Force, National Service, the IG of Police, the Chief of Intelligence, they are all from this one region.
In response, UPND Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Imenda says it is unfair for any stakeholder to accuse the current administration of regionalism, stating that cabinet appointments are a good example of unity.
Dr. Membe is trying to sway the people's opinion by bringing in the issue of regionalism. Where was Mr. Membe when the president put in a regionally balanced cabinet? Why didn't he comment? Where was Dr. Membe when the president has brought in a regionally balanced at permanent secretary level, a regionally balanced civil servant at the civil service at the top, the district commissioners, the permanent secretaries, and so on. Now, he comes and starts handpicking a few positions that have gone to what he calls northwestern Rhodesia, so to say. Should we talk about such things now? Because Zambia is one. There is no northwestern Rhodesia, there is no northeastern Rhodesia. That's why the president has picked, there's representation from every province, in every sphere. There's representation.
She asked that all qualified citizens can be appointed regardless of one's region, stating that this should therefore not cause any citizen to be disadvantaged. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A political activist, Dante Saunders, says there is need for extensive consultation from various stakeholders before the decision is made to abolish the death penalty for crimes such as murder under the current administration. In an interview, Mr. Saunders explains that abolishing the death sentence may cause an increase in murder cases, adding that there is need to put into consideration that some people who have been murdered in cruel circumstances were completely defenseless. Talk has been ongoing for many years among stakeholders for the death penalty to be abolished under the Zambian laws, as it is seen as a human rights violation. This has seen most death sentences being commuted to life sentences for over 20 years now in the country. The offences of murder, aggravated robbery and treason currently carry a death sentence under the penal code in Zambia.
For me, I think the death penalty is a situation. It's a serious issue. We need a referendum on that particular issue because, you know, people's lives will become very cheap if we just do away with the death penalty. There's too many people, murders and things like that happening in this country. People are dying left, right and center. People are being robbed. Your car can be taken away from you, and you know, what's the value of your car? Maybe 300, 400,000 kwacha. That's what your life will be valued for. Somebody will kill you, take away your car. And then, you know, your family members must still go in and support the chap while he's in jail. So for me, I think, you know, the Bible even tells you that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has revealed that police are investigating a case of suspected murder in Lilai Township, in which a man identified as Moses Teo, aged 20, was allegedly murdered in a bar while on a drinking spree on the 8th of July 2022. In a statement to Camnet News, Police Public Relations Officer Ray Hamonga explains that the deceased was drinking beer at Maimos nightclub within Lilai when he picked up a quarrel with four men who were seated on their table drinking beer. The police spokesperson explains that the quarrel ensued after the deceased got some bottles of beer from the other table and was later stabbed by one of the men using a broken bottle of beer, thereby sustaining a cut on the left side of the neck. Mr. Hamonga explains that the victim was then rushed to Chawama Hospital for treatment, where he was admitted and later died. The four attackers have been identified as Inspector Fabian Palata, Constables Louis Mufwempa and James Mfula from Lilai Township, and the fourth suspect, Detective Constable Mulonda Mukelabai from Chawama Police Station. They have since been detained and investigations launched, while the body of the deceased has been taken to the University Teaching Hospital mortuary, UTH. An 82-year-old freedom fighter, Peter Malembeka, has complained that government has remained quiet for 22 years on giving him his retirement benefits after serving in the civil service for 36 years. Speaking to Camnet TV, Peter Malembeka says government had promised to offer him a sum of 100,000 kwacha as his retirement package following his retrenchment in 1997. Until date, he has only received 2,000 kwacha of the said amount. Mr. Malembeka says he served in the civil service as a police officer for 36 years and was retrenched in 1997. He says about 380,000 of his colleagues were retrenched in the same year, and over 100 have died in the course of 22 years of waiting without getting their full benefits. More in the following report.
Zambia is a country known to show love and honor to its heroes who fought for the peace and independence that every Zambian now enjoys. However, it is not the case for this 82-year-old freedom fighter, Peter Malembeka, who has since reached out to Camnet TV with the challenge that government is not giving him his retirement benefits for over 22 years after he was retrenched from his civil service as a police officer in 1997. Mr. Malembeka narrates to this reporter that he diligently served in the civil service for 36 years and was promised a sum of 100,000 kwacha as retirement benefits, an amount of which he has only been given 2,000 kwacha since 1997.
This month, we've got 22 years. And we are many, we are 3,083. Others, but 3,083, I should be 100 that have dead in our group. But if I come land, if you could order a few in so, apa twali visha kukuta yo twalampera twamala kuti ama mienjire pita so apa tatwishe I don't know what time or what day tatwish.
He says government since the time of the former late President Frederick Chiluba has been promising to give him the rest of his benefits, but it has been 22 years now and nothing has been done.
I didn't know, even this building. Now could have been a initiative you have a mood. In Caribbean, 2 room up. Very big a double. Nali hotel senior officers mess as a bar, but Nali special Kumana village tika. Nobody ever killed a child. And in Maisha Yawakauna Yavali 12 no, woman Avalenda and Rama more. Ingavino Shipola Quis in Darama, Woman Yawakaunda.
Meanwhile, Mr. Malembeka's son, William Malembeka, has this to say.
We're just appealing to the government to help the retrenchees who are retrenched some time back in 1996, 97, somewhere there, because they haven't given them their terminal benefits. So these people are suffering. Without their terminal benefits, some are dying, leaving children suffering behind. They have struggled a lot since the PF government, MUMBWA government. So we're just appealing to the government to help these people so that they can even get their terminal benefits.
Mercy Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Some traders at Kawata Market have attributed the slow pace at which products and services are being sold to street vending. Some of the traders who spoke to Camnet TV says the UPND promised to end cadreism and street vending once in office, but the issues of vending seem to be failed projects thus far. They say it has become challenging for them to make ends meet at their business as their businesses keep on incurring losses. The traders who spoke on condition of anonymity have threatened to join the group of vendors outside the market if government does not act quickly on this matter. More in this report.
This is what is left of Kawata Main Market in Kawata constituency, where traders are complaining of a lack of business owing to the presence of street vendors at the market. Speaking to Camnet TV, a trader who spoke off camera says it is challenging for them to meet their daily sales as vendors outside the market have the same goods.
Challenges mukati mu market mututushitisha because twamwena okutila ero bayishiresa ba president balilandira ko bati vending yalapwa na kadalism yonse yapwa, and for sure president kadalism bali ipwisha nomba vending ichilile twalilila chili chani kuli bena because mwatile ba president batile ba kanso balamba ko kulabomba bale yafwana naba mukati mu market ba kanso ba polisi na ba market master bale bombera chapamu. They say the council has not done enough to remove vendors from the streets, and they were hoping that the UPND government will remove them as per campaign promise.
Affected vendors. Market ya shalata mwaba abantu bali pansi. So fyonse file tushupa. Tuchinja obuteko chimo chini. Abali pwakale chimo chino bazatushi betwalaya kwi. Pantu mose chemo kwati bamobene fita tulesanga poko batimbi kutwala sanga kwe hope na ngushani yawo. Place market yemo yaba but because of ama vendors panze tulefiro kuba tuteshani. Tukwata ama customers tabale ingira. Shop right huku kurumo okuli ama Africa shop na kwena ni use wabantu mobile. Nomba muno market business ni business nshimwala bomba motapari. Ama vendors ama vegetables yali panze. Muma shop right abantu na parking ayino ishitaba mina wakwata fe na motoka.
Calls to build more markets in order to remove vendors from the streets has been loud. However, for markets like Kawata, where traders opt to sell on the streets and leave the shelters vacant, a different remedy can be required. Mercy Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after this break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The seed industry in Zambia plays a critical role in promoting increased crop production and national food security in the country. Zambezi Seed Company Corporate Affairs Director Evans Ngoma says his company supplements government's efforts in the agriculture sector by participating in the Farmer Input Support Program. And Seedco Zambia Limited Southern Province Regional Manager Alex Shamane says his company is committed to meeting the demands of the farmers through provision of new seed varieties that can withstand climate vulnerability shocks. The duo was speaking during the just-ended Southern Province Agricultural, Tourism and Commercial Show in Livingstone. Nais has more.
The seed industry in Zambia plays a critical role in promoting increased crop production and national food security in the country. Zambezi's Seed Company Corporate Affairs Director Evans Ngoma says his company supplements government's efforts in the agriculture sector by participating in the Farmer Input Support Program.
Supplement government's effort through the Farmer Input Support Program. And so our seed is prominent amongst the small-scale farmers who found solace in the seed. We have got the maize seed varieties that we have. There are two. One of them is a medium maturing variety, a ZM521, doing extremely well. It is the drought resistant.
And Seedco Zambia Limited Southern Province Regional Manager Alex Shamane says his company is committed to meeting the demands of the farmers through provision of new seed varieties that can withstand climate variability shocks.
As Seedco, we are committed to ensure that we meet the demand of the farmer through the innovation and through the advancement in technology. This, of course, comes with the change or the introduction of new varieties.
Zamseed Marketing Officer Mapenzi Mwene notes that our company is producing 4 categories of maize seed varieties that include early maturing varieties, very early maturing varieties, medium and late maturing varieties.
When we produce our maize seed varieties, we produce them in 4 categories rather. So we have what we call the very early maturing varieties, the early maturing varieties, the medium maturing varieties, and the medium maturing varieties. But mostly for the late maturing varieties, we do not advise farmers planting them here in the Southern Province, looking at the rainfall pattern that we have. For the late maturing varieties, they require a lot of rainfall.
The trio was speaking during the just-ended Southern Province Agriculture, Tourism and Commercial Show in Livingstone. Reporting, Lawrence Kabuto in Livingstone.
Northwestern Province Minister Robert Liefu says the new Dawn government is committed to increasing agricultural production and productivity through the recently launched National Agricultural Mechanization Strategy. Mr. Liefu further commended the various agribusiness institutions and mining firms for complementing government efforts in the promotion of agricultural technologies and provision of advisory services to the farmers in the province. The provincial minister was speaking in a speech read for him by Solwezi Mayor Remi Kalepa during the 59th Northwestern Provincial Agriculture, Mining, Industrial and Commercial Show held under the theme Innovation Through Technology at Mitukutuku New Site Showgrounds in Solwezi. A Northwestern Province Show Society chairperson Arthur Kamulosu appealed to the government and other institutions to assist in developing the new site for the show grounds. More in the following report.
Innovation through technology is what these farmers and other exhibitors are here for. They have come in numbers to showcase their products after 2 years without holding the agriculture show due to COVID-19 in Northwestern and other provinces. Farmers are well vested with innovations.
You can see what we have. We have different things. To some we have added value, just like we want to make farming a business using the new technologies. That's why we are saying innovation through technology. For us to achieve our goals, to make sure that we have increased the food and nutrition security and then improve the incomes for the people, we need to use the technology. And as we do that, we are also answering to our 8th National Development Plan, which in the end will make us attain the 2030 vision.
Other exhibitors are equally responding to new technologies.
The institution that is mandated to pay benefits, our very first job is to collect benefits. And how that has changed is that we are now in the digital space where all our systems are automated.
In terms of how we are interpreting the theme, innovation through technology, as an institution, we think that business can leverage on the innovations that the institution has come up with. One of which is the introduction of online services.
So conservation farming is a method that we have adopted so that even long after consumption has finished its activities, the environment around Solwezi will remain a better place for the people to live in.
Northwestern Province Minister Robert Liefu was represented by Solwezi Mayor Remi Kalepa, who officiated at the 59th Northwestern Provincial Agricultural, Mining, Industrial and Commercial Show held in Solwezi.
My government is aware of the challenges that farmers are facing, among them the poor state of feeder roads in various farming areas, which are in their need of attention. But let me assure you that these roads will be worked on in order to ease the transportation of agricultural produce to the market. Agriculture is a major priority on the UPND government's agenda, and as such we shall endeavor to focus our efforts on increasing agricultural production and productivity.
Northwestern Provincial Show Society chairperson Arthur Kamulosu is happy with exhibitors' response at this year's show.
We'll be giving slots. Is it land in here? We're trying to encourage you to apply, and then we'll give you the land so that you have the permanent structures. Instead of you using the tents, we want to run away from this idea of using the tents. We want you to have your own permanent structures.
This year's agriculture show was held under the theme Innovation Through Technology. Kriva Chituta reporting in Solwezi, Northwestern Province.
We'll take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom? Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings. Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Welcome back. And now in international news, a group of unknown men carrying AK-47 guns opened fire at a tavern in Soweto on Sunday morning. 15 people died and a total of 23 people were shot outside the township pub. The armed men opened fire just after midnight. The aunt of a survivor says her niece Zama was in the toilet when the shooting occurred. Leader of the radical group SOWETO Parliament, Nana Lax, says these incidents are becoming a norm in South Africa, describing it as disgusting. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has agreed to step down next week, an official said after protesters stormed the presidential palace and set fire to the Prime Minister's home to vent their anger over a worsening economic crisis. Parliament Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena said in a televised statement on Saturday that Rajapaksa has agreed to resign on July 13. For more, here's a roundup of international news.
A group of unknown men carrying AK-47 guns opened fire at a tavern in Soweto on Sunday morning. 15 people died and a total of 23 people were shot outside the township pub.
We got calls around 12 midnight that there's been a shooting here in Nomzamo. It's a place next to Orlando East. And we quickly activated all the law enforcement agencies. Luckily, because it's over a weekend and usually there are these operations we call Okai Malao. So it means police at any given point in time, they are available and they are working at a certain pace. Around in Johannesburg, they're working in Eldorado Park. We had to remove those police to actually come and attend to the scene here.
The aunt of a survivor says her niece Zama was in the toilet when the shooting occurred.
Mama, elahlamlenze kuthiwa kubhubha abantu njani ndingamhoyina lapho mama kuthiwa babhubha abantu ndithi hayi mani athi mama uZama abiza umkhazini wakhe ndithi hayi bo sibe sesingena emotweni njengoba ndilapha ngoku.
Leader of the radical group Soweto Parliament, Nhlanhla Lax, says these incidents are becoming a norm in South Africa.
Look, this is beyond how I feel. It's disgusting. It's horrible. You can't have 24 South Africans being shot at with high caliber rifles and we think it's okay. But you see, we've been conditioned to normalize South Africans suffering, South Africans dying. It's just another case.
Police are still searching for the mass shooters and the intent is not yet known. Wandiswa Ndengendo, Johannesburg, South Africa, Africa News.
They called Saturday D-Day, when protesters say the president and his government would be forced to step down. And by the evening came the announcement.
He agreed to act according to the agreement by party leaders and step down. But because he wants a peaceful transfer of power, he has asked me to inform the people of his decision to step down on July 13.
Many blame Gotabaya Rajapaksa for an economic crisis that's made life unbearable for many of the country's 22 million people. After breaking through barricades, yet another unprecedented moment, the demonstrators stormed into the president's official residence in Colombo. Inside, this is what it looked like. The president was moved by his security team to an undisclosed location earlier, while protesters ransacked his bedroom and took photographs on his bed. Within moments, the presidential pool, once reserved for the country's top leaders, appeared more like a recreational center.
Our government leaders must leave Sri Lanka. They can't govern the country properly. We have children and we're on the streets, leaving our jobs because we believe in this cause. We love the country and we are suffering.
Protesters charged the barricades outside the Prime Minister's house, which they then set ablaze. Rajapaksa's political allies know this is a crucial moment for their party. Anger is rising at the government's handling of a dire economic crisis, the worst in 70 years. The frustration appears to have turned into a movement that can no longer be ignored.
In the end, neither curfew, nor a freeze on the distribution of fuel, nor a host of other intimidationary tactics were able to keep the tens of thousands of people away from Colombo, to drive the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa away. They say that successive years of mismanagement, corruption and looting of the country's resources has brought the country to its knees and they've had enough. Minna Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Colombo.
Even before the first ballot was cast, many political commentators have been predicting victory for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP. It's ruled Japan almost without interruption since the end of the Second World War. It enters the polls with high approval rating, and a fragmented opposition is thought to offer little competition. These polls take place just 2 days after former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated in Nara City while campaigning. Abe, who was a member of the lower house and head of the LDP's largest faction, still wielded considerable influence, and his assassination may result in sympathy votes for the party.
I think Abe has thought a lot about this country, and I hope this election can make his efforts worthwhile.
There may be more people who will vote for the Liberal Democratic Party. The assassination was a shocking incident, so I think people have many thoughts, but I hope they can vote based on their own decision.
A surge of support will help Prime Minister Fumio Kishida strengthen his grip on power.
Generally speaking, his polls are quite high, but one thing which is dogging him is the rising inflation and cost of living, as it is in many nations of the world. If the results tonight are at or above expectations, then I think we can definitely say that Kishi's position will be secured for quite some time going forward.
It may even see the LDP and its junior coalition partner, Komeito, controlling 2/3 of parliament, which would allow them to take the first steps in amending the constitution. One of Abe's goals had been to revise the country's pacifist constitution, which forbids Japan's offensive military capabilities. Meanwhile, the suspect in the murder of Abe has been handed over to prosecutors in Nara, where he will likely be detained and questioned before being charged. Police have acknowledged there were security flaws in Friday's incident and have promised a thorough investigation. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera.
It's now time for sports news. And our sports news, Nottingham Forest have announced the signing of fullback Omar Richards from Bayern Munich on a 4-year deal. The former England under-21s defender moves for a reported £10 million. Richards, 24, joined Bayern in 2021 from Reading, making 17 appearances and helping them to a 32nd Bundesliga title. Richards played 104 times for the Royals before heading to Germany and earned one England under-21s cap in 2019. He becomes Forest's 5th summer signing after Dean Henderson, Musa Niakate, Gillian Biancone and Taiwo Awoniyi. The club have also agreed a £17 million deal with Liverpool for Wales defender Nico Williams. Copper Queens have their last 8 tie against the Teranga Lionesses set for Mohammed V Stadium, of which they will move to Casablanca from Rabat. Zambia picked up a massive 4-1 win over Togo in their 2022 Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON last Group B match to finish top of the group and set up a quarter-final date with Senegal on Wednesday. The win was the second consecutive victory at this year's tournament and only their third in 3 tournaments. Coach Bruce Mwape's side made history by finishing top of Group B ahead of Cameroon and Tunisia, who finished on 5 points and 3 points respectively. To end Camnet television news, we'll take a look at stories making headlines once again. UPND rubbishes accusations of being a divisive party. Inadequate schools contributing to high teenage pregnancies, laments MUMBWA parents. Consult before abolishing the death penalty, advises political activist Dante Saunders. In international news, Soweto mass shooting kills 15 people. And in sports news, SHEPOLOPOLO eye to beat Teranga Lionesses. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13 to 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Thank you so much once again for joining us for the news tonight. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.